I noticed the light before I noticed the house. It was already on. Not bright, not warm, not welcoming, just on. A single upstairs window glowing pale yellow at the end of the street. It was 2:41 a.m. No cars passed. No dogs barked. No wind moved the trees. The street was asleep. The house was not. The house that didn't belong. I had lived on this street for 6 months. I knew every house. I knew which porch light flickered, which gate squeaked, which neighbor worked night shifts. But this house had never been here before. It stood between two normal homes, squeezed in like it had been added quietly, when no one was paying attention. Tall, too narrow, paint peeling downward like stretched skin. And that light upstairs, waiting, someone noticing me. I felt it before I accepted it. That tight pressure at the back of your neck. The feeling you get when silence suddenly becomes aware of you. I looked up. The curtain moved. Not quickly. Not hiding. It leaned closer. I stepped back. The light flickered once, then steadied, like it had blinked. The door that expected me. I don't remember deciding to walk toward it. I only remember standing at the front door. The wood was old, scarred. Scratches circled the handle in overlapping arcs. Too many for one person. Hands had been here, trying to leave. I touched the knob. It was warm. Before I could turn it, the door opened. Inside the quiet, the air inside smelled occupied. Not dust, not rot, warm breath, old fabric, faded memories. A clock ticked somewhere upstairs. Slow, heavy. Each tick felt deliberate, like it was measuring me. The first note. A small table stood in the hallway. On it, a single piece of white paper, neatly placed. Welcome home. Underneath, written smaller. If the house goes quiet, don't. I didn't understand, but the silence shifted, as if it had heard me reading. The stairs creaked softly beneath my feet. Halfway up, the ticking stopped. Complete silence dropped so suddenly my ears rang. I froze. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Above me. Slow. Careful. Practicing how to sound human. A voice drifted down the stairwell. Soft. Patient. Wrong. You're late, it said. And we don't sleep here. I stood frozen on the stairs long after the voice stopped. The silence didn't return immediately. It waited, like it was checking whether I would move. When I finally took a step backward, the silence rushed back into place. Thick, padded, intentional. The clock upstairs began ticking again, as if nothing had happened. The hallway that was longer. At the top of the stairs was a hallway. At least that's what it should have been. I remembered it clearly, short, narrow, with 3 doors. I had counted them when I came in. It was something I always did in unfamiliar places. But now, the hallway stretched farther than it should. 4 doors. No, 5. Each one closed. Each one identical. Same height. Same dull paint. Same faint warmth leaking from underneath. The light above flickered softly. Not broken. Blinking. The first door. I opened the nearest door slowly. A bedroom. Simple. Normal. A neatly made bed. A desk by the window. A lamp turned off. But the air inside felt wrong. Too still. Like the room had been holding a position and was waiting for permission to move again. I stepped back into the hallway. Closed the door. The hallway felt longer. The second door was mine. The second door opened into a room that made my stomach twist. My bag was there, on the bed, exactly how I had packed it. Same folded clothes, same worn jacket, same notebook sticking halfway out. I hadn't unpacked. I hadn't even brought my bag upstairs. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding. The bed indentation suggested someone had just stood up. Warm, recent. The house reacts. I whispered without thinking. Hello. The lights dimmed slightly. Not out. Just listening. I swallowed. I didn't mean. The clock stopped ticking. Every instinct screamed at me to stay quiet. So I did. And the silence relaxed. The lights steadied. The clock resumed. The house wasn't haunted. It was responsive. The note that wasn't there before. When I returned to the hallway table downstairs, another paper had been added. Same handwriting. Same careful placement. Rule number 2. Do not speak unless the house speaks first. I didn't remember a rule number 1, but somehow I knew I had already broken it. The first night without sleep, I stayed awake, not because I was afraid to sleep, but because the house wasn't sleeping either. The light upstairs stayed on. Every hour on the hour something shifted. A door clicking softly, a floorboard testing weight, a wall exhaling, not randomly, methodically, like a routine. At 3:17 a.m., footsteps crossed the hallway. Slow, measured. They stopped outside the door I believed was mine. No knock, just presence. The breathing pattern. I noticed it then. The house breathed differently when I was still. Slower, deeper. When I shifted even slightly, paused, adjusted, matched me. I lay rigid, staring at the ceiling, afraid to even blink. The warmth beneath the floorboards spread upward, like something settling in. Morning wasn't relief. Morning didn't bring relief. It brought confusion. Sunlight entered through windows I didn't remember existing. The hallway had returned to its original length. 3 doors, not 5. I opened the door across from mine. A wall, solid, as if the room had never existed. Except there was a faint outline where a doorframe used to be. Still warm. The house tests me. I tried an experiment. I stood in the center of the hallway and stayed perfectly still. No breathing control. No movement. Just presence. The clock slowed. The light dimmed. The walls seemed to lean closer. Then, a soft sound. Approval. The house liked attention, but it loved stillness. The last thing before night returned. Before sunset, a final note appeared, placed gently on my bed. Tonight you will hear things. They are not for you. Do not respond. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the door. Somewhere deep inside the walls, something shifted into position, preparing. The first sound came from my phone. I hadn't touched it. It lay on the bedside table, screen dark, face down. Then it spoke. My voice, soft, calm, familiar. I'm here, it said. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe properly. The phone screen lit up on its own. No incoming call. No notification. Just a waveform pulsing gently, as if something was recording or practicing. The rule I didn't remember writing. A memory surfaced, faint, slippery. A rule. Do not respond. I held my breath. The phone spoke again. I can hear you thinking. The lights dimmed slightly, not threatening, encouraging, like the house wanted to see what I'd do. The lag in the mirror. I went to the bathroom slowly, every step measured. The mirror above the sink showed me exactly as expected. For a moment, then I blinked. My reflection blinked a second later. I frowned. The reflection followed, late. I leaned closer. "So," I whispered, barely moving my lips. "Is that you?" The reflection smiled. I hadn't. The smile faded only after I stepped back. As if it had realized it reacted too soon. The voice call that proved everything. At 1:12 a.m., my phone rang. This time it showed a name. My name. No photo. No number. Just me calling me. I didn't answer. The ringing stopped. A message appeared instead. "Why are you pretending not to hear me?" My hands shook. Another message followed. "You sound better when you're quiet. The house corrects me." I accidentally knocked over a glass of water in the kitchen. The crash echoed too loudly. Immediately, the house reacted. The clock stopped. Lights dimmed. The air thickened. I whispered, "Sorry." I whispered, "Sorry." The silence sharpened. The house didn't like apologies. It liked learning. A note slid from beneath the kitchen table. I didn't see where it came from. Rule number 3. Do not acknowledge mistakes. The missing memory. That afternoon something felt wrong. Small. Unimportant. Until I tried to remember my mother's face. I knew I had a mother. I knew her voice. But her face. Every time I tried to picture it, my mind replaced it with the upstairs window. The light. Always on. The house was organizing me. The practicing. That night, the footsteps returned. But this time, they moved exactly like me. Same pace. Same hesitation before turns. They stopped outside my door. Then, a cough. Mine. Perfect. The handle didn't turn. The footsteps walked away. Satisfied. The recording I never made. In the middle of the night, my phone played an audio file. No title. No timestamp. Just sound. Me breathing. Then speaking. Clear. Confident. "I live here now," the voice said. I don't remember arriving. I deleted the file. The phone vibrated once. Disappointed. The new message on the wall. When I woke, words had appeared above my bed. Not written. Indented. Pressed from the other side. "You are improving." Below it, smaller. Still too loud. The realization. The house wasn't copying me anymore. It was refining me. Removing excess. Softening edges. Teaching me how to fit. And the worst part, the more it learned, the quieter I became. The end of the third night. As the lights dimmed for the night cycle, I realized something terrifying. I couldn't remember the sound of my own laugh, but the house could. Somewhere inside the walls, it laughed softly, practicing. The sound didn't come from the hallway, came from inside the wall. A soft dragging noise, slow, wet, like something being pulled across a surface that didn't want it there. I pressed my ear gently against the wall beside my bed. The wall was warm, too warm, and then I heard breathing, not close, deep inside, layered, more than one. The wall wasn't solid. I ran my fingers across the paint. It rippled slightly under my touch, like skin reacting to pressure. I pulled my hand back instinctively. The wall exhaled. I stumbled away, heart pounding. That's when I noticed it. Faint shapes beneath the paint. Outlines. Faces. Not clear enough to recognize, but unmistakably human. Mouth slightly open. Eyes pressed flat. Waiting. The name that vanished. I tried to distract myself by writing in my notebook. Simple things. My name. Today's date. Where I was. Halfway through writing my last name, my hand stopped. I stared at the page. I couldn't remember how it ended. I knew it once. I knew it mattered. But the letters refused to come. The upstairs light flickered, proving the scratching at night. That night the scratching began. Not frantic, not desperate, careful, measured. As if whatever was inside the wall didn't want to damage the house. Only remind me. Scratch. Pause. Scratch. Then a whisper. So faint I almost missed it. Don't answer. Another voice followed. He listens. Another. He's still learning. My knees buckled. I slid down against the wall. The scratching stopped immediately. The silence sharpened. The house didn't like interference. The rule that wasn't written. I woke to find words carved into the wooden floor beside my bed. Deep, angry. Rule number 4. Do not speak to the ones inside. The letters felt old, like they had been written many times. Erased, rewritten, for people who didn't last. The photograph behind the frame. In the hallway, I noticed a crooked picture frame I hadn't seen before. Family photo, outdated clothes, stiff smiles. I lifted it from the wall. Behind it, more writing, scratched directly into the plaster. Names, dozens of them. Some crossed out, some faded, some pressed so deep the wall had cracked. At the bottom, a space, empty, waiting. The house corrects history. I tried to leave the house that afternoon. The door opened. The street was there. Normal. Sunlit. But something felt wrong. The houses across the street were unfamiliar. The trees were taller. The road curved differently. I stepped outside. The air felt thin, unconvincing. Behind me, the house exhaled sharply. I stepped back inside. The door closed. Satisfied. The voice from the wall. That night, one voice became clearer than the rest. It sounded older, tired. You won't leave, it whispered. I shook my head. Yes, I whispered back without thinking. I will. The house reacted instantly. The lights went out. The clock stopped. The warmth surged. The voice screamed, not in pain, in warning. The punishment. I woke on the floor. Hours had passed. My throat burned. I tasted blood. On the wall above me, fresh words had appeared. Pressed hard. Less talking. More listening. Below them, a new shape. A face forming. The understanding. That's when I realized the truth. The people in the walls weren't trapped. They were stored, memories compressed, voices preserved, identities flattened into architecture. The house didn't need ghosts. It needed references, and I was becoming useful. End of the 4th night. As the light upstairs stayed on through the night, I heard something new. Not scratching, not breathing, soft applause from inside the walls. The rule appeared without warning. No paper, no scratch marks, just words. They surfaced slowly on the wall across from my bed, as if the house itself was remembering them. Rule number 5. Do not open the door at the end of the hallway. I stared at it. There had never been a door at the end of the hallway. The hallway grew again. That afternoon, I walked upstairs carefully. The hallway was longer, not dramatically, just enough to make my steps feel miscounted. The walls stretched subtly, like a breath held too long. And at the very end, a door, plain, unmarked, no handle. It didn't feel new, felt forgotten. The upstairs light flickered once. A warning. The house watches choices. I didn't approach the door. Not at first. I stood still and waited. The clock slowed. The walls leaned in. The house was watching to see what I would do with the rule. Obedience mattered. Curiosity mattered more. The memory that disappeared completely. That night something was missing. Not fading. Gone. I woke with a sharp certainty that I had lost something important. I sat up, heart pounding, and tried to remember the name of my childhood friend. Nothing. No face. No voice. No emotional echo. It was like that person had never existed. The house had taken more than an image this time. It had removed a connection. From somewhere deep inside the walls, I felt a ripple of satisfaction. The whisper near the forbidden door. I tried to avoid the hallway, but the house adjusted. My room door now opened facing it directly. No matter how I closed it, when I opened it again, there it was. Long, quiet, ending in that door. And sometimes, very softly, a whisper drifted from beneath it. Not begging, not threatening, familiar, like someone trying to remember how to speak. The test of silence. I stayed silent for an entire day. No words, no whispers, no internal arguments. The house responded immediately. The warmth receded. The walls stiffened. The light dimmed slightly. Approval. That night, a note appeared on my bedside table. Good. You are learning restraint. Below it, smaller. Tomorrow we test curiosity. The door moved closer. The next morning, the hallway was shorter. The door was closer. I hadn't walked toward it. The house had brought it to me. The outline of the door pulsed faintly, like a slow heartbeat. And for the first time, a handle appeared. The voices change. The voices in the walls were quieter now, more organized, fewer warnings, more acceptance. You'll understand soon, one whispered. Another added gently, it's easier when you stop remembering. The house makes an offer. That evening, the landlord returned. I hadn't seen him since the first night. He stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking older. You can still choose, he said. I waited. Open the door, he continued, and you'll know everything. And if I don't? He hesitated. You'll become part of the house anyway, he said softly. Just slower. The door at night. At 2:59 a.m., I stood in the hallway. The house was perfectly still. No breathing, no ticking. The door waited. Handle warm. Behind it, something shifted, patient, practiced. I raised my hand, not to open it, just to touch. The moment my fingers brushed the handle, the house inhaled sharply. The walls tightened. The voices fell silent. The test had begun. When Rayhan opened his eyes, silence greeted him. Not the normal kind of silence, but the kind that feels thick, like the air itself is holding its breath. No wind, no insects, not even his own heartbeat felt real. He was not in the house anymore. The room around him was unfamiliar. Cracked mud walls, peeled paint, black stains crawling along the ceiling like old burns. The floor was covered in dust so thick it looked untouched for decades. Yet something was wrong. There were footprints in the dust. Small ones, children's footprints. Rayhan swallowed hard. "Mitila," he whispered. No reply. As he stepped forward, the dust shifted beneath his feet, and the footprints began to appear ahead of him, one by one, as if something invisible was walking away from him. Then he saw it. A wooden door. Carved deeply into it were 3 words. "Do not come back." The moment Rayhan touched the handle, a freezing jolt shot through his arm, straight into his spine. The door opened by itself. Inside, darkness. But at the center of the darkness, a single candle burned. And beside it sat a little girl, her back facing him. "Mitila?" His voice trembled. The girl slowly turned her head. It was Mitila, but her eyes, the whites were pitch black. No pupils, no reflection, just endless emptiness. "You promised," she said softly. Rayhan's chest tightened. "Promised what?" She stood up. Her feet never touched the floor. "You said, when I called you, you would come." The walls began to vibrate. The candle's flame stretched unnaturally, throwing shadows that twisted and crawled across the room. Rayhan tried to step back. His legs wouldn't move. "I called you," Mitila whispered, "again and again and again." Suddenly, voices filled the room. Children's voices, layered, broken, endless. "Again, again, again," Rayhan screamed, clutching his head. "Stop!" Mitila floated closer, so close that Rayhan felt her breath. Cold, dead, wrong. "Now it's your turn," she whispered. The floor split open. Below him, darkness. From the darkness, hands emerged. Dozens, hundreds, all small, all children's hands. They grabbed his legs, his arms, his chest, and they all spoke in one voice. "Stay, stay, stay." Just then, his phone rang. The sound was deafening. On the screen, one name appeared. Unknown call. Rayhan knew something instinctively terribly true. This was no longer about Mitila. This was the call. And anyone who answered it never fully came back. The phone kept ringing. Rayhan couldn't move. The children's hands still clutched his body, cold and stiff like drowned branches. Unknown call. The screen flickered. Every instinct screamed at him not to answer. But the hands tightened. "Answer." The voices whispered. "If you don't, you'll stay." His thumb shook as it touched the screen. Call answered. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, a voice spoke. Not Mitila's, not a child's, not even human. It sounded like many voices stacked together, breathing at the same time. "Rayhan," it said calmly, "you're late." His heart slammed against his ribs. Who are you?" he gasped. A soft laugh echoed through the room. "I am the one who listens," the voice replied. "When houses remember, when walls don't forget, when people disappear quietly." The candle blew out. Darkness swallowed everything. Then the room changed. Rayhan was standing in his old house again, the one they lived in before Mitila vanished. But it was wrong. The walls were damp. The ceiling sagged. Black handprints covered the doors. And the smell, rot, old water, something buried too long. The voice continued. This house has been awake for a very long time. Rayhan backed away. No, we moved. This place was abandoned. The voice chuckled. Abandoned? No. It was fed. The floor creaked. From the hallway, a door slowly opened. The one room Midila was never allowed to enter. Rayhan's stomach twisted. Inside the room, he saw chalk drawings on the floor. Circles. Symbols. Names. Dozens of names. Children's names. Some scratched out. Some circled. At the center, Midila. Rayhan fell to his knees. What did you do to her? The voice lowered, almost gentle. She answered when I called. And so did you, eventually. Suddenly, the walls began to whisper. Not loud, not screaming, just constant, begging, crying. Rayhan realized they weren't echoes. They were trapped. Every child who ever disappeared from this village was still here, watching, waiting. The phone buzzed again in his hand. Incoming call. The screen showed a new name, Rayhan. His own number, his own name. The voice spoke one last time. This is how it works. You receive the call. You come looking. And then, the lights flickered. In the reflection of the dark window, Rayhan saw himself. But his reflection didn't move when he did. He smiled. You stay. The call connected by itself. And somewhere far away, a phone began to ring in an empty bedroom. The ringing stopped. Silence returned. But this time it wasn't empty. It was aware. Rayhan stood in the bedroom, staring at the phone still pressed to his ear. The call had connected, yet no voice spoke. Instead, he could hear breathing, slow, patient, close, too close. He pulled the phone away. The screen was black. No timer, no buttons, no signal, just his reflection. But it blinked after he did. Rayhan dropped the phone. It hit the floor without a sound. That's when he noticed something terrifying. The whispers had stopped. The house wasn't begging anymore. It was listening. He took a step back. The floorboards didn't creak. They tightened, like muscles. You're inside now, a voice said. Not from the phone, not from the walls, but from everywhere at once. Rayhan turned in circles. Inside what? He shouted. The lights flickered on. The bedroom was no longer his. The walls were lined with doors. Dozens of them. Each door had a name scratched into it. Some names were fresh. Some were barely readable. Some were bleeding through the wood, as if carved from the inside. He walked closer to one. A small door, paint chipped, handle broken. The name read, Midila. Rayhan's chest tightened. No, she's not here. She can't be. The door creaked open by itself. Inside, a bedroom frozen in time. A small bed, a school bag on the chair, a half-drawn picture on the floor. And in the corner, Midila stood facing the wall. Her hair hung limp. Her shoulders rose and fell slowly. Midila, Rayhan whispered. She didn't turn. They don't sleep here, the voice said calmly. They wait. Rayhan stepped inside. The moment his foot crossed the doorway, the door slammed shut behind him. The room darkened. Midila, look at me, he pleaded. Slowly, too slowly. She turned her head. Her face was the same, but her eyes, they reflected rooms, doors, people standing alone, calling names, crying, listening. "You came," she said softly. "They always come." Rayhan shook his head. "I came to take you home." Midila smiled. A sad, tired smile. "There is no home," she replied. "Only rooms." The walls began to move, stretching, breathing. Rayhan felt the floor soften beneath his feet. Then he heard it, a new sound, ringing. Not his phone, not Midila's. A phone ringing somewhere far away, somewhere alive. Midila's eyes brightened. "Someone else answered," she whispered. Rayhan felt something cold wrap around his wrist. A hand, small, gentle, but unbreakable. "You can't leave," she said, "but you can help." The door behind her appeared again. Another name slowly carved itself into the wood. Not Midila, not a child. His own, Rayhan. The ringing grew louder, closer. The house leaned in, listening, waiting. The ringing stopped, not because the call ended, but because the house had heard enough. Rayhan felt the small hand still gripping his wrist. Midila's fingers were cold, but steady, as if she had been holding on for a very long time. "There are rules now," she said quietly. The room shifted. The walls pulled back like curtains, revealing a long corridor lit by weak, yellow bulbs. They flickered not randomly, but in sequence as if guiding him forward. "Rules?" Rayhan asked. Midila nodded. "If you don't follow them, you disappear faster." She released his wrist. Immediately, Rayhan felt lighter. Too light, like he was losing weight, not from his body, but from something deeper. "Rule 1, Midila said, pointing down the corridor. "Never answer a call that knows your name." Rayhan's throat tightened. "I already did." Midila looked at him. "That's why you're here." They began walking. As they passed the doors, Rayhan heard sounds behind them. Soft knocking, scratching, whispered pleading. "Open the door. I'm still here. Please, I'm still me." He forced himself not to look. "What happens if you open one?" he asked. Midila didn't answer right away. Then softly, "You forget who you were." They stopped in front of a door with no name, just a symbol carved into it. A phone. "This is the listening room," Midila said. "This is where it decides." Rayhan felt dread crawl up his spine. Decides what? Who stays? And who replaces them? The door opened. Inside was a small, empty room. A single chair. A phone on the floor. Ringing. Rayhan's legs refused to move. Midila stepped behind him and gently pushed. "You don't have much time," she whispered. "When the ringing stops, it chooses for you." The phone vibrated violently now. The screen lit up. Incoming call. From someone you know. Rayhan stared at it. "I can't," he said. "If I answer again." "You won't be answering," Midila said. "You'll be listening." The air grew heavy. The walls leaned inward. Rayhan picked up the phone. The ringing stopped instantly. The moment he held it, images flooded his mind. A child hiding under a bed. A woman calling her son who never came home. A man staring at his phone, waiting for a call that already happened. So many stories. So many endings that never finished. The voice returned. Not loud. Not cruel. Almost patient. "You may leave," it said. "But only if someone else stays awake." Rayhan's heart pounded. Someone else. The phone screen changed. A new call was forming. A real one. Somewhere outside. Somewhere living. A name slowly appeared. Rayhan recognized it. His breath caught. "No," he whispered. The voice didn't respond. The phone began to ring again. And this time, Rayhan understood the final rule. The house never hunts. It waits for someone to choose. The phone rang once, twice. Rayhan stared at the screen, his fingers numb. A single name glowed softly. MMI. His mother. His breath shattered. "No, please," he whispered. "Not her." The ringing echoed through the listening room. Deeper now, vibrating through the walls like a pulse. The house wasn't rushing him. It never did. It was patient. It always was. Midila stood beside him, her face unreadable. "She wakes up early," Midila said quietly. "She always checks her phone when she can't sleep." Rayhan shook his head violently. "She doesn't answer unknown calls." The phone rang again. The voice returned, calm and certain. She already heard it. The walls flickered, and suddenly Rayhan saw her. His mother, sitting on the edge of her bed. The same faded shawl. The same worried eyes. Her phone lay beside her, buzzing. She hesitated. Rayhan slammed his palm against the wall. "Stop it. Take me instead. Just don't call her." The house didn't respond. The phone rang again. Midila looked up at him. "You can still change it," she said. "One call. One choice." Rayhan turned to her, eyes burning. "Change it how?" She lifted her hand and pointed to the phone he was holding. "You can answer and stay, or you can redirect the call." Rayhan's heart sank. Redirect to who? Midila didn't answer. She didn't need to. The room shifted. Another image appeared. A boy scrolling through his phone in the dark. A stranger. Young. Alone. Wide awake. His phone vibrated. Unknown call. Rayhan felt sick. "That's murder," he said. Midila shook her head slowly. "No," she replied. "That's how the house eats." The ringing grew louder. His mother reached for her phone. Rayhan screamed, "I'll stay." The ringing stopped. Instantly, every sound vanished. The images disappeared. The house exhaled. The voice spoke, almost pleased. "Then you understand." The room dissolved. Rayhan felt the floor fall away. When sensation returned, he was standing in a narrow hallway. Endless. Doors on both sides. Phones ringing softly behind each one. Midila stood in front of him. She looked lighter. "Thank you," she said, "for answering." Rayhan looked down at his hands. They were fading, not disappearing, changing. "What happens to me now?" he asked. Midila stepped past him and opened a door. Inside was a small room. A chair. A phone. Ringing. "You stay awake," she said gently. "You listen. You make sure the house doesn't starve." Rayhan backed away. "I won't call anyone." Midila met his eyes. "You already did," she said softly. "When you chose." The door closed behind him. The phone rang louder. Rayhan picked it up. The screen lit up. Incoming call. A new name began to form. Not his mother. Not a stranger. Someone else. Someone awake. Rayhan swallowed. And for the first time, he understood why the house never needed to chase anyone. The phone never stopped ringing. Not loudly anymore. Not urgently, just constantly, like breathing that never ends. Rayhan sat in the chair inside the small room. He didn't remember sitting down. He didn't remember choosing it. It simply became true the moment he stopped resisting. The screen in his hand no longer showed names, only numbers, different every time. But the voice always sounded the same, patient, familiar, growing closer to understanding him. "Are you comfortable?" it asked. Rayhan didn't answer. He had learned that silence was the only thing the house respected. The walls around him pulsed faintly, like they were waiting for permission to continue existing. Then, a pause, longer than usual. The phone screen flickered, and something changed. A voice came through that did not belong to the pattern. Not layered, not broken, human, afraid. "Hello?" Rayhan froze. His breath stopped before his mind could decide why. The voice repeated, "Hello? Is anyone there?" The chair beneath him felt colder. That voice, it wasn't random. It wasn't part of the system. It was new. The house reacted instantly. The walls tightened. The lights dimmed. The ringing sharpened into a single, focused tone. Midila appeared in the doorway without sound. Her expression was different now. Serious, concerned. "He found you," she said quietly. Rayhan looked up at her. "Who?" Midila stepped closer. "The replacement cycle doesn't stop," she said. "It only shifts direction." The phone vibrated violently. The voice on the other end spoke again. "Please, I got a missed call from this number. I don't know why it's showing your name." Rayhan's fingers shook. On the screen, his name appeared, not as caller ID, but as label, like ownership. The house spoke through him now, not as voice, but as identity. "You are the call now," Midila whispered. Rayhan shook his head violently. "No," I answered. "I stayed. That was the deal." Midila's eyes softened. "That's what they all think." The walls behind her opened slightly, just enough for Rayhan to see. Endless rooms, endless chairs, endless phones ringing in perfect rhythm. All occupied, all listening, all once believing they had chosen. The voice on the phone grew more desperate. "Who is this? Why do you keep calling me?" Rayhan stared at the screen. He realized something that made his stomach drop. He wasn't holding a phone anymore. He was holding a connection point, a doorway, a continuation. Midila placed her hand over his. "Say nothing," she said gently, but it was too late. The house had already learned the new voice, and it was interested, very interested. The lights dimmed further. Somewhere in the distance, another phone began to ring, then another, then another. A chain reaction, the cycle restarting. The voice on the other end whispered one last time. "Why does it feel like you already know me?" Rayhan opened his mouth, and for the first time since it began, he wasn't sure if the voice speaking through him was his, or the house's. The question stayed in the air. "Why does it feel like you already know me?" Rayhan didn't answer, because he couldn't tell anymore where his thoughts ended. The phone in his hand felt heavier than before. Not physically, but like it was carrying something that didn't belong in the world. The lights in the room dimmed slowly, not breaking, not failing. Listening more carefully, Midila stood still in front of him. But even she looked different now, less like a person, more like a memory that had learned how to stand. "The first call," she said quietly, "always feels like an accident." The phone vibrated again. The voice on the other end spoke, softer now. "I think I know you." Rayhan felt something inside his chest shift. Not pain, recognition, a memory that wasn't his. A street, a house, a light upstairs that never turned off. The house, not behind him, not around him, inside the call itself. Midila stepped closer. "This is how it finishes," she said. Rayhan's hand moved on its own. The phone lifted, not because he chose it, but because the cycle had already decided the next shape. He pressed it to his ear. Silence. Then, a breath. Warm, close, familiar. And then, his own voice spoke back. "Hello." The realization didn't arrive like a shock. It arrived like something returning home. Every room he had ever seen, every voice he had ever heard, every version of himself that had answered before, collapsed into one truth. He was never the caller. He was always the answer. The phone screen flickered one last time. A new name appeared. Not Rayhan, not Midila, not anyone living. Just unknown. And beneath it, call in progress. The room around him dimmed further. The walls relaxed, like a system completing a cycle. Midila smiled faintly. Not sad, not happy, just finished. "You'll understand now," she whispered. "Why it never stops." The phone rang again. Not on his side. Not in his hand. Somewhere far away, in a quiet room, a phone lit up in the dark. A new person stirred, slowly, curiously, and reached for it.